The Little Prince by Anton de Saint-Exupéry tells the tale of a pilot stranded in the desert only to come across a boy from a distant comet who tells him of his life. It is a widely acclaimed and well-loved story. It's vibrant, playful and rich for new ears, yet cutting, complex and familiar to anyone who has lived. I entered a costume competition in January 21. It was the first time I actually fully conceptualized costume and also constructed an entire outfit. I'm going to take you through my thoughts, the design right up to the construction of the finished costume. This is the story of my reinterpretation of The Little Prince. Welcome to Bewilder. The thing that struck me from the book is that it all comes from the pilot's perspective. We aren't being told directly by the Little Prince the story of his life. It's all secondhand by a man who has crashed in the Sahara Desert. Can we trust a man who has been stranded in the desert for a few days to remember things exactly as they were? I chose not to. I thought it would be more interesting to play on the reality of potentially what the pilot could have interacted with, but in his hazy recollection and confusion with exhaustion and dehydration, built a story up. So in reality, perhaps Little Prince was a local boy, or like a teen, somebody from the area who's actually in a position to help because he knows the land. So I began my research looking at the 1940s because that's when I think the writer was creating this world or setting this world. Although I will admit I am not very good at research and I really struggled to find credible sources basically to know what children, teens, young men were wearing in Morocco around about the 1940s, or like Egypt, or like, I don't know, I found it hard and I was coming up short. So I went down a more problematic route in 2021 potentially. I started looking at old Hollywood. And taking influence from the costumes that they made in these films. Taking influence from the colours, shapes of the costumes that I found, loose draping, muted tones. I particularly loved how oversized everything was. And it gave me enough information, saturation in my brain to think about the design. First of all, let's not get carried away. This is my first attempt at costume design, but also constructing a full outfit. So my choices had to be basic. For the trousers or pants, I just added in some pockets and kept them quite nondescript. I already knew that I was going to be on the struggle bus trying to make trousers, so just pockets, thanks. I opted to take my basic block and play with the neckline, pulling in those influences from caftans that I had seen from the research. The pièce de résistance, however, was always going to be the scarf. In the original illustration and for much of the other outfits of the Little Prince, the scarf was slim and loose. But considering the Hollywood goggles that I'm using as an influence for creating this costume, I opted for something oversized, something that would be used to protect the Little Prince from sand, essentially something more regional to the Sahara Desert. Plus it might make me look smaller. I'm a big guy, like I'm 6'3". Patterning this was fairly easy. For the trousers, I kept it the exact same as the basic block. The only thing I did differently was put in a button fly, 2 pockets, and a waistband. Did I say that already? Pockets, button fly, waistband. That's what I did to the trousers. Patterning the top was really simple. It was just a case of taking out the waist measurement, making it straight down from the underarms to allow the top to gather. Swooped the collar, making it a lot wider with the plunge as per the design. For the sleeves at the top, I wanted to create an asymmetrical drooping hanging effect. I just extended out the wrist measurement, so it created like a large triangle with the shoulder shape at the top. For creating that asymmetrical shorter at the front, longer at the back. It was just a case of rolling the actual material in construction, which I'm going to show you now. For construction, I have to apologise, I actually lost a lot of footage, so what you're looking at is a montage of bits that I've managed to save. Everything was fairly straightforward. I'm putting panels together, I'm sewing in the facing. There was nothing particularly problematic. Even the sleeve went in fairly easily. Trousers look absolutely massive once I put them all together, but I forget sometimes that I'm actually a really big guy, and especially on the legs. So yeah, it took a lot of fabric, but that's what it takes to clothe me. For the construction, I chose to create the whole thing in calico. The only reason I'm doing this is because, to be honest with you, I'm not confident enough yet to graduate beyond mock-up fabric. Which brought me to dyeing. I spent a lot of time dyeing and trying a lot of different dyeing techniques and creating swatches. Actually, hold on, I'll show you some. I played around with a lot of different techniques in order to create the right color or the right effect, basically, when I was dyeing. However, I made the grave error of putting it in the washing machine and it all washed out, and I had to re-dye it, and somewhere between it all, even though I was aiming for something kind of maybe more like this or more like this color, which is darker, the finished, I mean, let me show you the color, because it actually came out pretty much identical to the illustrations on the little prints in the actual book. Yeah, roll the film.
Simwa un motor.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit unsatisfied with this video. A, probably because I lost a lot of footage and I was unable to show you the fitting process as I made it. It is something I've made note for in future videos upcoming. Thank you for watching. Quite nervous about this video. I hope that the thing that you took away from it is the part that I really enjoy, which is actually just like the mental part, like actually thinking about the design and considering what that character would actually wear. You are who you wear, like your character is built up of choices. So thank you. If you enjoyed that, let me know, leave me some comments. So if you were to design a costume, what character would you pick and why? That's my question to you. Please let me know. And until next time, do all the fancy stuff that I talk about on YouTube, and I'll let you look at my face again soon. Okay, end credits. And he went back to meet the fox. Goodbye, he said. Goodbye, said the fox. And now here's my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly what is essential is invisible to the eye.